I wish I make plenty sales tomorrow. I wish I sell all my firewood, all of it, and still have people asking for more so I can finally take care of Mama's treatment.
Uloma said reluctantly, the way tired people say things at the end of a long day, not really expecting anything to change. Then, she lay down on her mat and slept off. In the darkness, the necklace began to shimmer, faint gold light dancing across the beads before fading into stillness. Uloma was 19 years old, and life had placed a heavy load on her shoulders far too early. Her mother, Mama Ngozi, used to run a firewood stall at the village market, the same one Uloma now managed. But an accident changed everything. The wooden shed at the stall collapsed on Mama Ngozi one afternoon, crushing her waist and legs. After the incident, she had not walked properly since. So Uloma took over everything. She fetched the firewood herself and she sold it at the market. She cooked, cleaned, and nursed her mother's wounds. And she tried, desperately, to keep her younger sister Faithy in school, but money ran out fast, and Faithy had to drop out. Uloma worked like a machine from morning until night. Every single day, she walked deep into the thick forest to fetch heavy bundles of firewood. She carried them on her head until her neck felt like it was breaking and her back severely ached. Despite all of Uloma's hard work, market sales were terribly bad. She wasn't making any profit. She would sit at the market from sunrise to sunset, hoping and praying, but buyers would just walk past her stall. Through all of it, one person stayed close to her, Stella, her best friend since childhood. They had grown up together. Stella's family sold wrappers and fabric at the market, a few stalls away from Uloma's. Whenever Uloma had a bad day, Stella was there to sit with her, to encourage her, to remind her that things would get better.
You will not suffer forever. God will surely answer you.
One particular evening, after a very stressful day of making absolutely zero sales, Uloma returned home completely broken. She was hungry, exhausted, and tired of struggling. She cooked the last cup of rice in the house for her sick mother and little sister. She chose to stay hungry so they could eat. After putting her mother and sister to sleep, Uloma stepped outside her hut. She sat alone in the cool night air, looking up at the dark sky. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she spoke randomly into the night. She wished things were better. She wished she had it all. She wished life would just be a little fair to her for once. Finally, she wiped her face and went inside. She closed her heavy eyes and slept off, not knowing her suffering was about to come to an end. The next day, Uloma woke up expecting another miserable day of suffering and no customers. She grabbed her cutlass and headed into the forest like she did every single day. She swung her heavy axe until her hands blistered and bled. By midday, she had gathered a massive bundle of firewood. It was heavier than usual, but she knew she needed to sell as much as possible to buy food and medicine for her mother. She balanced the heavy wood on her head and started the long, painful walk back to the village. Suddenly, she heard a scream. Sitting by the dusty bush path was an old woman. She was holding her waist tightly, her face squeezed in severe pain. Beside her lay a bundle of firewood almost twice the size of Uloma's.
My daughter, please, my waist is killing me. Can you help me carry my firewood to the neighboring village? What? But the village is almost 2 hours away.
Uloma screamed while staring at the old woman squatting on the floor. Uloma thought hard. She had her own firewood to sell. She needed that money for her mother's pain medicine. But she also couldn't leave the woman alone. Uloma knows how it feels to be stranded without any help.
Okay, Mama. I will help you,
Uloma said gently. She put down her own wood, hid it in the bushes, and lifted the old woman's massive bundle onto her tired head. The walk to the next village took much longer than Uloma expected. The old woman moved slowly, groaning with every step, and Uloma had to match her pace, patiently despite the weight of the firewood pressing down on her neck. By the time they arrived, the morning sun had climbed high into the sky, evening had come, and the only thing on Uloma's mind was her mother and sister. The old woman turned to Uloma, studying her face closely, like she was searching for something. The old woman reached into the folds of her wrapper and pulled out a necklace. Simple necklace with a black pearl, nothing flashy, nothing special looking. Before Uloma could react, the woman stepped forward and placed it around her neck with her own 2 hands.
For your kindness, this is now yours. Make a wish into it, and your heart's desires will be granted. You are a good child, and good hearts deserve good things,
The old woman said, her voice suddenly changing. No longer weak, no longer frail. It was sharp and clear.
But let no one else wear this. Let no other make a greedy wish into this necklace, else the consequences will be too much to bear.
Uloma stared down at the old piece of jewelry resting on her chest. She thanked the woman and rushed back home. When she arrived, her mother and younger sister were already asleep. She sighed and went to bed. She sat and stared at the necklace on her neck for a minute.
How can this old thing make my dreams come true? That woman may have been just talking.
She reached under her bed and checked. There was no money. She didn't even make 1 sales today. She sighed in disappointment.
I wish I make plenty sales tomorrow. I wish I sell all my firewood, all of it.
Uloma lay down and drifted off into a deep sleep, not noticing the necklace glowing. It had heard her request. The next morning, Uloma woke up early, went to the bushes to retrieve her firewood, and headed straight to the market. But before she could even arrange the firewood on the ground, something strange happened. Customers started rushing her store. People who never bought firewood from her were suddenly bringing out money, begging her to sell to them.
Give me 2 bundles. No, give me first. I was here before you. She will sell to me first.
Customers argued. In less than an hour, Uloma sold every single piece of wood. She had so much money she couldn't believe her eyes. She stood there, staring at the coins in her hand, unable to believe it. She hurried home that evening with money enough to buy real food, medicine for her mother, and even put a little aside. The days that followed were the same. Customers trooped in like the market had been enchanted. Uloma didn't understand why, but she wasn't about to question a blessing. But someone else was watching closely. Stella's mother, a sharp-eyed woman who missed nothing at the market, began to notice the sudden crowd around Uloma's stall. Day after day, she watched customers walk straight past other sellers just to buy from Uloma.
Since when does firewood sell like this? This girl has never made this amount of sales before. Something is not adding up.
That night, she called Stella aside.
Something is not right with that girl's store. People don't just start buying firewood like that overnight. Go and find out what she is doing differently. You are her best friend. She will tell you.
Stella hesitated at first. Uloma was her friend, her sister in every way that mattered. But her mother's words planted a seed of curiosity in her mind. The next day, Stella sat with Uloma during a quiet moment at the market.
Uloma, your sales have improved rapidly. Oh, what's your secret? I have been watching you for days. You can't tell me it's nothing.
Uloma, trusting her friend the way she always had, saw no reason to hide anything. She leaned in and told Stella everything. The old woman in the forest, the necklace, the wish, all of it. Stella listened, nodding, smiling, saying all the right things. But inside, something had shifted. That evening, Stella ran home and repeated every word to her mother. Her mother's eyes lit up with greed. "We need that necklace," she said, "whatever it takes." The next day, later that afternoon, Stella purposely caused a massive fight to break out at the other end of the market. People gathered around, shouting and pushing. Hearing the noise, Uloma rushed into the crowd to try and separate the fight. In the middle of the chaotic pushing and shoving, Stella sneaked up right behind Uloma, quickly unhooked the necklace from her neck, and disappeared into the crowd. Uloma didn't even notice until she got home. She reached for her neck, it was bare. Panic set in. She searched her clothes, scattered her entire hut, and even ran back to the market in the dark, but the necklace was nowhere to be found. By the next day, the magic was gone. Market was so slow, it became even worse than usual. Uloma sat all day without a single customer. Meanwhile, at the other end of the market, something better was going on, and Uloma was not even aware. That night, Uloma could no longer hold in her pain. She broke down and told her mother everything. She cried as she explained about the old woman she helped, the magical necklace, and how it had been stolen from her. Mama Ngozi listened quietly. She didn't shout or panic. Instead, she smiled gently and wiped Uloma's tears.
Do not worry, my daughter. What is meant for you will surely return. And as for the thief, karma is already on its way.
Mama Ngozi said softly while consoling Uloma. And sure enough, it was happening. Stella wasted no time. That same evening, she sat in her room holding the stolen necklace tightly in her palm. Her mother stood by the door, watching with greedy eyes.
Make your wish. What are you waiting for? Say something into that necklace.
Stella closed her eyes and whispered into the necklace.
I wish my mother's wrapper store would be full of customers. I want people coming from every village around to buy from us, and may we never run out of money.
The very next morning, it happened exactly as she asked. Customers from neighboring villages began trooping in just to buy wrappers for their weddings and occasions. They were counting coins and money like water. Stella and her mother were rejoicing in endless wealth, while just a few stalls away, Uloma sat deeply depressed in her empty firewood shop. Every single morning, Stella would speak into the necklace, make a wish, and quickly tuck it inside her cloth, hiding it deep in her chest so Uloma wouldn't notice. Meanwhile, Uloma's stall remained painfully quiet. Days passed with barely any customers. She sat there feeling depressed. Stella would come over to sit with her for a few seconds, pretending to console her, but deep down, she just wanted to see how well Uloma was suffering without her magic necklace. But you know the saying, greed is like a wildfire. Once it starts burning, you cannot stop it. Stella's mother, being the mastermind, was too drunk with greed. She pushed her daughter beyond limit.
Ask for more. Ask for something bigger. Ask for a good life, a husband or riches of your own. Or don't you want to be better than that your silly friend Uloma?
Stella's mother said one night. Stella, without hesitating, didn't even ask for a mere villager to become hers. She wanted the ultimate power. She wanted to become queen. That night, before bed, she whispered her boldest wish into the necklace.
I want to marry the king's son. I want to become a wealthy wife. I want gold, riches, and a beautiful wedding, all for me.
She made that greedy wish, completely unaware that the necklace wasn't just a piece of blessed jewelry. It also carried a deadly curse. She didn't know the strict warning the old woman had given Uloma in the forest. The next morning, Stella woke up and went to the mirror. She noticed the necklace was a bit shorter and tighter around her neck than usual, but her mind was too clouded by greed. She simply brushed it off, tucked it under her shirt, and went to the neighboring village to sell her wrappers. She spent the whole day selling and making money. But when she finally returned to her compound that evening, her heart stopped. Standing right in front of her house, dressed in royal attire, were the heavily armed Igwe's guards. They were waiting for her. She couldn't believe it. The necklace heard her wish. The royal guards bowed before Stella, presenting her with expensive gifts. Stella could not believe her eyes.
Our Igwe's son has requested your hand in marriage. He says he saw you selling in the market and could not stop thinking about you since. The Igwe has given his blessing. Preparations for the wedding will begin immediately.
Stella nearly fainted from excitement. Her mother screamed with joy, falling to her knees and praising the gods. News spread through the village like wildfire. Stella, the wrapper seller's daughter, was to marry the king's son. Everyone talked about it, some in admiration, others in envy. Stella walked through the market with her head held high, no longer just a trader's daughter, but a woman about to become royalty. Preparations for the wedding began immediately. Tailors were hired for the finest clothes. Cooks were brought in from neighboring villages. Her mother spent money like it would never run out, buying gold, jewelry, and anything else that could show off their new status. But as the days passed and the wedding drew closer, something terrifying was happening. The black pearl necklace was shrinking. Every morning Stella woke up, the chain grew tighter around her throat. It was no longer just resting on her chest. It was wrapping around her neck like a tight rope. To keep her stolen secret safe, Stella started wearing high-necked blouses and wrapping thick scarves around her neck so nobody, especially Uloma, would see the necklace. But the necklace did not stop shrinking. Instead of Stella to take off the necklace, she refused. Her wedding was just a day away. Taking off the necklace would mean her losing everything, including the prince.
No! I can't give up now. After the wedding is done tomorrow, I will take off the necklace. I can't have people laughing at me, especially Uloma. I must marry the prince.
And so again, her greed won. The night before her wedding, Stella went to the market to brag a little. She stood in front of Uloma's firewood stall, talking about the preparations and how she can't wait to be the king's wife. While she was talking, she kept scratching her neck continuously. The itching refused to stop.
Stella, are you okay? No, I'm fine. I need to go, please. I will see you later.
Stella said while running away from the market. By the time Stella reached home, the burning had grown unbearable. She burst through the door, screaming for her mother. Her mother rushed over and grabbed the necklace, pulling with all her might. But the necklace wouldn't move. It felt as if it had glued to Stella's skin. Panic set in. Her mother ran to the kitchen and brought pure palm oil, rubbing it all over Stella's neck, yet nothing changed. She tried Vaseline. She even poured kerosene on it, hoping it would make the necklace slip off. But instead of loosening, it became worse. By midnight, Stella, barely able to breathe, her neck burning and tightening with every passing minute, stumbled through the dark street toward the only person who might understand what was happening to her. Stella rushed over to Uloma's house while grabbing her neck and sobbing, trying hard to stop the necklace from taking her life.
Uloma, please open the door. Please! Stella, are you okay? What's happening to you? Uloma, please, it was me. I took it. I took the necklace. I stole it from your neck during the fight. I'm sorry, please make it stop. It's burning my neck.
For a moment, Uloma just stood there, staring down at the girl who had betrayed her, who had smiled in her face while hiding the very thing that once belonged to her. Uloma had every right to walk away, to shut the door and let karma finish what it had started. But that wasn't who Uloma was. Suddenly, Uloma's eyes widened in realization.
So this is why the king's son wants to marry you. You made a greedy wish into the necklace. You wanted to force someone into loving you. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I don't know what's happening.
The old woman's warnings came rushing in. Uloma picked up her lamp and dragged Stella's hand, and they headed straight into the dark forest. Stella wanted to ask questions, but her throat was too tight and locked to do so. When they finally arrived at the exact village compound where Uloma had brought the old woman's firewood, the woman was already seated outside as if she knew they were coming.
Mama, please help her. She made a greedy wish into the necklace.
The old woman rose slowly and walked over to Stella, looking down at her without an ounce of pity in her eyes.
Jealousy is a fire. It burns the one who lights it. Before it ever touches the one it was meant for, you took what you did not earn. And when it was in your hands, you were not satisfied. You wanted more and more, until greed almost killed you. You must retract every wish you have made with this necklace. Every single one. Say it now, before it is too late.
The old woman commanded. With the last of her strength, Stella whispered it.
I take it all back. I do not want the prince to marry me. I do not want riches and gold. I want my mother's wrapper store to go back to normal. Please, I take it all back.
The moment the final word left her lips, the necklace snapped. It broke apart at Stella's neck and scattered across the floor. Stella coughed a sigh of relief. Uloma rushed forward, crying while picking up the pieces, trying to somehow mend it back in place. But the old woman stopped her.
You do not need this anymore. Your heart is purer and more unique than any gift or treasure in this world. You were wronged, but you still chose to help her. Go back home now, my dear. It is well.
Uloma and Stella walked back home without saying a word to each other. The only thing on Uloma's mind was the betrayal and how she trusted the wrong person with all her secrets. Even though a word wasn't spoken, It was clear the friendship had ended. By the next morning, the magic had completely worn off the village. The Igwe and his son suddenly came to their senses, entirely confused as to why they had ever proposed to a mere wrapper seller's daughter. The royal guards were immediately dispatched to Stella's compound. They ruthlessly took back every single expensive gift, packed up the food, and abruptly cancelled the wedding in front of everyone. Stella was left with nothing but immense shame. She watched her mother weep bitterly as their sudden wealth completely vanished. The villagers mocked her mercilessly. Whenever she walked through the market, they pointed and laughed, calling her the disgraced almost bride. But deep down, Stella didn't care. She was just glad she was alive. They laughed at her, completely unaware of the terrifying truth of how close she came to losing her life. In the days that followed, Uloma returned to her ordinary life, fetching firewood, selling at the market, caring for her mother and sister. But this time it was different. Market boomed, customers never stopped coming. That was when it hit her. The necklace was never the true source of her blessings. Her pure heart, her kindness, and her hard work were her real magic. Her friendship with Stella never fully recovered. Uloma forgave her, truly, but trust once broken doesn't simply stitch itself back together. They greeted each other when their paths crossed, polite but distant, two girls who used to share everything now living as near strangers.
And that is the story of Uloma's necklace, a reminder that true blessings are not found in magic or shortcuts, but in the hard work, kindness, and integrity we carry within ourselves. And as for those we trust with our secrets, we must always be careful, because not everyone who smiles at us wishes us well.